This is the last piece of staghorn sumac that I have, and I may have a couple little branches, but I don't even think I have those anymore. It's very interesting wood, and when I get it mounted up I'll show you more about it. But it's about 9 inches long this way, but because that's on an angle it's more like 8 at the most. So I'll show it to you when it's on the lathe, and it'll be easier to tell you what I want to tell you about it. I'm going to get a flat spot here, a hole for a worm screw, and we'll get it mounted up and see what we can make out of this. And obviously it's going to be a live edge bowl if the bark stays on. There's issues with that, but it'll at least be a natural edge bowl. So I'll be right back. We'll have it mounted in the lathe. So the piece is kind of odd sized. It's just like 3 inches here and 4 inches there. It's much wider here than it is here. It's going to be an interesting shape. So something about this tree is when it's freshly cut, this area here just drips. It's real sticky and gooey, and right down to the pith, the same thing. This substance reminds me a lot of the rubber trees in South Vietnam and the Michelin rubber plantation. Very much feels the same. Around here, and probably other states that have it, they'll take these pieces and boil it in a huge, like a 55-gallon drum, separate this, and they make a glue out of it. It might be very similar, I don't know. But it's odd shaped. It's pretty short here and about 1 inch more there. So this is 4, that's 3. This is a lot wider than that. It's got quite a slope on it going back that way. I guess you can see it. I could have bandsawed this off, but I decided I'll just cut it. So let's get cutting on this, and hopefully none of this sprays on me, but I don't think it will. I'm doing about 550 RPM. I'm going to get my face shield on and we'll get going. A 5/8 bowl gouge. Sounds like we just about have it on the base. Yeah, we're cutting even there. So there was a branch right here, and I heard that chip away. And we're cutting into that chainsaw curve. It's like a double wide curve. I don't know what they were thinking when they did that, but yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Definitely want to get up to here and there, and that might go away. See if I can get a few more RPM. That's 700, not too bad. They were just touching here and taking a little off, so it's not too bad. I'm going to start cutting this direction and see what can happen with this, so I don't have to go quite so far down. And it always cuts better if you go this way. I'm cutting that way so I don't rip the bark off, or hopefully not rip it off. Okay, we need to make this a bit smaller, mostly just to be able to show up the grain coming up against the bark right here. That is really nice. How about that? Yes, we have a crack. We sure have some pretty grain now. It's fairly equal in height, that's good. We could go smaller. I don't think I want to make that straighter to remove that, but I could take more off evenly and we'll get rid of that flat spot up here. So let's do that. That should be a really pretty bowl. How much smaller? Maybe just a little bit. Okay, that's it, and we're going to just get rid of that. I'm going to come back from this way because at this point I don't want to lose that bark. That's really ready to sand. Except for one thing, I think I better put some, maybe put some black CA in there, and then I might have to scrape it again, but other than that we're about done. Well, you can see I'm getting the black Starbond CA in here. It's a medium thick. For right now I just want to get it sealed here because we're not cutting any more off of that. And I think I'll just put some on this soft area here that used to be really gooey. I'll do that until I know I can sand it smooth, and then we'll come back, get a tenon on here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut this tenon. Trying to use the diamond point tool to square up that tenon. I just couldn't get it in there, so I switched to my parting tool, and that worked just fine. Not a lot to sand here, but I'll go ahead and show you some of it. And I think up here, because that's all by itself, I'll just sand this while holding it still, starting with 80 grit, and I'll work my way up through 400. And when I do it under power, I'll be spinning the lathe in reverse at about 400 RPM. Not too bad. That's what that's going to look like, and I'll see you shortly when I have it flipped around. I've got it flipped around in the chuck, as you can see, and this is much higher than this point. I put a mark on this little stick at about 1/4 of an inch, and over here it's about 1 inch. So this is about 3/4 of an inch lower than that. So in order to get a nice line around here and have a nice live edge, I start in the middle, start working my way down and then gradually out, and as soon as I can see that line I feel a lot better about being able to keep it. But if you start out here, it's hard to say where you're going to end up. You've got a lot of air you're dealing with. If you start here, you can kind of work your way into that. So I'm going to use a 1/2 inch bowl gouge, and I haven't tested the RPM. Looks like about 800 RPM. I'm going to get my face shield on and we'll start cutting this. And my tenon broke. Let me see what we can do about that. I didn't have a complete plan yet, but what I did was turn the disc to fit the bottom of the bowl, and I hot glued the two together and thought about it for a little while. So I ended up drilling a hole that I could use a worm screw on, but there's issues with the chuck fitting, so there was a way around that. What I have here is an adapter that I made on my little metal lathe, and I've got a lag bolt in there and it'll act like a worm screw. So let's see if we can get a little bit farther and make this work. That's running nice and true. So I'm putting the adapter onto the spindle, and I do have an idea here, and I think it should work. I make a lot of these little tenons with the idea of hot gluing them onto different turnings, and they really come in handy. So as long as this is running true, I think we're going to be in good shape. Cross our fingers. Okay, the moment of truth. Was all this worth it? Now, let's see how true it runs. Well, it's not perfect, but you know what? It's not bad, and I will not touch the outside of this. It's not out that far. Okay, I got to regroup, and we'll come back and see if we can finish hollowing this. Well, it looks like it's starting to get dark out, but at least it's, according to this little thermometer, it's 59 degrees. I'm going to see if I can get this finished on the inside, not sanded, but at least cut out. Just got to hope that that hot glued tenon stays in place. Go with 700 RPM. So everything's slightly out of balance. Oh boy, I think we got it. Look at that. Whew. Just had to do one more cut. You know how that goes. And it went good, actually. That is it. So I did this a little different than what I'll do is keep this mass up here while I'm doing this. But I just needed to get this taken care of. And it worked out okay. It might leave a little more sanding, but this stuff sands easy. Finish hollowing it out, and then I'm going to call it a day. As long as I didn't drill that hole too deep, I think we're going to be just right, although that is recessed up there, so I got to be very careful. Oh, you know what? We are done. That's about 3/8 of an inch right there, and I'm happy with that. I got a pretty clean cut here, and I got to clean this up. That's up in the danger zone where we're cutting air. So I just may pull out the negative rake scraper, and it works good for when you have a lot of air. It's easy to control. Alright, I've got a nice fresh burr on this, and if you haven't seen what I do here, because I flip back and forth and grind one side then the other, I put this little magnet on here that tells me it's up. So I put it up when I grind, I put it up when I use it. Alright, we can sand that, and we will do that tomorrow. I'm beat. Well, let's go ahead and get this sanded, and it's not going to take very much. And what I'll do on the inside is just sand these ends like this. And then I'll turn the lathe on, going forward around 400 RPM, and we get the rest of it like that. That's going to be pretty simple. Get it sanded to 400, and I'll come back and we will put a finish on it. That sanding went really easy. I want to get some finish on it now. We're getting some high winds, and we lost power the other day because of some trees that came down near us, and it wouldn't surprise me if we had that happen again. So I'm using shellac-based sanding sealer, and look at that grain. Told you it was nice grain. That's going to be nice. So I'll just wipe some on this bark. It's fairly smooth, but it does have some texture. So that was quick and easy. I'll move the camera so you can see the outside as well. So, there it is. Alright, well, wind died down, but I think it's coming back up soon. So, I'll go ahead and get maybe 2 more coats of sealer and 2 coats of shellac, and it'll be about finished. I've got the tenon is just hot glued on there, so that will come off very easily. So, I'll be back and show you what we have. Well, here it is. It is all done, and I think it is a very pretty wood. Staghorn sumac. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time to get it. It's soft wood, but the grain is just amazing. So it finished almost 7 inches long this way. It's 3 inches tall, and it's about 5 inches that way. And the walls are maybe 5/16. The bottom is less than 3/16, and that's because this thing tried to fly away on me when the tenon came off. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised because it's not a very strong wood, but we got it fixed up. It all worked out just fine. I use 2 coats of Zinsser Seal Coat and 2 coats of Zinsser Shellac on it. It's a pretty nice finish. Not too bad. So it was a simple turning, and for a while I'll be doing simple fun turnings. I just got a lot going on, and it's easier to get this stuff out and get it out on a Friday so you can see it. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I sure appreciate you watching. If you did like the video, do me a favor. Click that like button and feel free to leave a comment. Both of those things will really help my channel grow. I do lots of different types of turnings, and you never know what might be next. So be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And a special thanks to all my current subscribers. You really mean a lot to me. So, till the next time, see you later.